I'm sick right now, so no funny intro this time. Music. But in this episode, we talk about how I increased my IQ by doing 40 years of meditation in 5 days using neurofeedback. Other cool stuff about letting go and things like that. And Guru of the Week, who's a real-life magician who uses a wand to make people squirm and scream and stuff. So put on your seatbelts. Let's get into it.
In 2022, I did a really intense brain training where they hook up your brain to a neurofeedback device. They lock you into a dark, cold room for hours, and it supposedly compresses 40 years of Zen meditation into 7 days. Have you heard of it?
Is it like 20 years of Zen?
40 years of Zen. Okay. I learned a really eye-opening thing there that I think would be surprising to hear for a lot of people, because the purpose of the training, or the promise of it, is the 40 years of meditation in 7 days, yada, yada, yada. If you look at the brain, it has that effect. Increases creativity by 50%, whatever that means. A massive increase in emotional intelligence, 15.8 points, if you take a test. And this was most interesting to me at the time, 11.7 point IQ increase, average. So the average person that goes to the program has an IQ increase of 11.7 points, which is huge.
Okay.
And even 12 months out, like after the training, they have that increase. You've heard about it before.
Yeah, my friend was trying to get me to go to it. I just
But
didn't.
it's not the one that I did. I did it with BioCybernaut, which is the guys who literally did it for 40 years, and they have terrible marketing, but that's how you know that it's a great product.
It's so true.
Seriously. Oftentimes when you see a health product that has a ton of like crazy good marketing, not always, it's not actually the best product. And sometimes you have these products with terrible design and terrible marketing, and they just have the best ingredients, and there's real scientists behind it.
Well, dude, the reason why I didn't want to do it was because the person that recommended it to me wasn't somebody I trusted.
Okay.
And I mean,
Fair enough.
She told me that
Yeah.
it changed her life, and her life was not one that I would emulate personally. Would want to emulate.
Yeah, that's a good indicator. My intention here is not to push it, but just there's one thing specifically that I learned throughout it that I thought was fascinating. So I actually made a video about it. So I did get a discount doing it.
How much was it?
I think it usually, when I check the prices now, it usually is like 22,000 for 7 days. I think I paid 10K, but it was also cheaper.
What do they do?
It's 5 to 7 days, and it's these long days. Like you start in the morning and you go until late in the evening. And the goal of the training is to train your brain to get into an alpha brainwave state, which is the state where there's no problem that can't be solved. You're very relaxed but focused. And it's almost like you're calm and at peace, like you're in your heart, you know? And so what they do is as you can see here in the video, they lock you into this room. They hook up your brains to a neurofeedback device so that when you go into the room, terrible handshakes. That's my signature move. When you go into this room, you sit down, they hook you up. These are these sound boxes, and you literally hear your brain sing. You hear these sounds that are going like, and you hear them around you, right? The problem with meditation is that you don't know whether you're doing it right. And oftentimes you're sitting there meditating, and then 5 minutes later, you realize, oh wait, I've been thinking the whole time. Let me get back to my thoughts, right? Imagine every time you think, it's like, hey, stop thinking. Imagine it could literally read your brain. And so this is kind of what happens here, because you know what sound you want to get to. You want to get to a specific sound. And your brain hears immediately, oh, you're doing it wrong. So it auto-adjusts immediately, if that makes sense. And it just puts meditation on steroids. And then after a period of 2 minutes of doing that exercise, it shows you a score on like where you reached alpha and whatnot, right? And it is really tough because, yeah, they turn the lights off and you're just sitting there meditating. And sometimes it's really frustrating because you don't know, what am I doing wrong? Like I keep getting these terrible scores.
So it keeps testing you until you get a good score and you realize what you're doing?
Yeah, but then it keeps testing you and keeps testing you and you keep doing it. It's
For 5 days?
You're just doing reps. And then you also talk to the facilitator afterwards, like, hey, how'd you go? And you kind of do a bunch of therapy as well. Where, yeah, they're reviewing the things and then they're just like, okay, what did you think about? And the specific exercises that you do. And so the guy who put it together is this guy here, Dr. Hart. I've never seen a more scientist-looking guy.
100%.
Right? So he's been doing it for over 40 years, like studying this, like neurofeedback and all that. And it's in Sedona. What do you know about Sedona, Arizona?
It's one of the most spiritual places in the world.
Yes. So they have a very spiritual approach to...
It's genius.
To this. They combine science, neurofeedback, with spiritual enlightenment, stuff like that, right? So the goal is to get into alpha. Therefore, the more you can get into alpha, the more it increases your IQ and all that good jazz. What do you think is the number one thing that they have found after 40 years of studying that increases alpha? What's the number one thing you can do in the chamber?
Just relax.
You might think it's gratitude, just practicing gratitude. You might think it is feeling your body relaxing.
Let me answer. Authenticity.
What does that mean?
Just kidding. Okay, I saw this video a week ago where the guy was like, well, you thought like the highest frequency is love, gratitude. And then he was like, well, but people don't know it was authenticity. So I thought this was the moment
was that like a funny skit?
No. It was a legitimate, like one of those videos that those TikToks or like that educates you. And I honestly thought I was meant to see that video for this specific moment. Wow. But apparently not. So thank you for just ruining. All right, I'm sorry.
Authenticity.
Okay, cool. Good talk.
Because what's authenticity anyway? Right? It's like, is it authentic for me to be a self-absorbed dickhead right now, you know? Or is it just a part of me and there's actually a different part of me that I can access that can be forgiving?
Okay.
Forgiving.
Got it. So that's the...
Forgiveness.
I figured.
Forgiveness is the number one thing that they found puts somebody in alpha like that. And how does that increase your IQ? The way that increases your IQ is simply that this is what the doctor said. Because I asked him this, like, why does that lead to an increase in IQ? And what he said was...
He does look like a scientist, dude.
Yeah. Dude, he chose the Zoom... I remember. He chose the Zoom background. And I was just like, can you not put this... This looks terrible on video.
It looks great, though. For what you're going for, I think it's great.
So what he's saying is, imagine you went and did a test. And your partner just left you. Your mom had a stroke. Your dog got run over. How well are you going to do in that test?
Horrible.
These are all obvious examples, but in general, people have so much emotional baggage that they hold on to, specifically from grudges that they hold against other people or things and themselves, that it's just tough on their brains. It just takes up a bunch of processing power. And I thought that was fascinating. So yeah, we had a really great time with this. I mean, there was some real like breakthroughs that we had, and it was great, man. It was great. It was a great experience.
You know, normal people, they go on trips. They find a new hobby. Every time we get on these like episodes, there's always something random that you do that's like taking it to the next level where you just can't be a normal, like just be a normal human being. Do something like go to Barbados, go to the Bahamas, Instead, hey, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I did this therapy thing that basically gave me 40 years of Zen, just like the darkness retreat. What else? How else are you gonna torture yourself in the next like?
I love my job. This is a business expense, and I made a video about it. It didn't do well at all. It did terribly for the channel. It was one of the biggest fails on our channel. But man, it was a cool experience. And it was a beautiful experience with my good friend Raf from Australia. And we did it together. And man, he uncovered some shit as well. And it's just like, you go through your entire life and you think about all the people that are like, where do I hold grudges? It's like, my dad, my mom, my sibling,
Have you forgiven everybody after that?
During that process, yeah.
And now it's back.
I think there's always forgiveness to do. Like it'd be easy if it was just one session, right? It's just like, I've forgiven them, But there's maybe still some lingering, stuff. But man, I think all of it, affects you. And they had a specific process that they made us go through in the chamber, which is they had us visualize a courtroom of Buddha, Jesus, and some other high entity that was like free of sin, basically. And those were the judges, and we had to visualize ourselves kind of going to court and making a case where it's like, I'm accusing this person. And I'm angry at them because they did this. And then you just feel the pain of that. And then after that, you choose to forgive and you choose to see it from their perspective. And you have empathy for them. It's like, of course they did what they did. And then you step in front of the judges and you ask them, hey, did I fully forgive? And if all of them say yes, you can move on to the next memory. But if one of them is like, you got more work to do.
So how do you know that one of them says, you have more work to do? Does your brain tingle or like something happen in your brain that's like you're lying to yourself?
In the visualization.
Okay, so it's not like connected to your brain, like...
No.
Got it.
But during the forgiveness process, you basically hear your brain singing right through the sounds.
Insane. That would be insane if like you're having this conversation in your visualization, and as soon as you're lying to yourself, your brain just like tingles, and you're like, oh wow, that's not what I was expecting.
Yeah. This would be another $1 trillion business idea that I've been talking about for a while that I think could change people's lives. If there's some sort of neuro feedback device or some, I guess it is a neurofeedback device that measures your heart rate or other biomarkers where it can tell when you're in your head.
I think that's going to be Neuralink.
It can tell when you're stressed. It could be Neuralink. It could be something way simpler than Neuralink. Like if all there was a device that tells you, hey, by the way, you're worried right now. Hey, by the way, you're in your head right now. And it just tells you the moment. Like how long does it usually take for you to catch that? It may take you hours to be like, man, I've been in a funk. It may take you a day to be like, man, today was a rough day. I was just in my head the whole day. Because when you're in it, you forget, right? And then by the end of the day, you have 1 rep of getting yourself out of that funk. But if you can have 20 reps within a day, because it's just like, hey, by the way, your biomarkers show that you're currently stressed, you're currently being in your head, you're currently worried, whatever. Take these steps to get out of it, or you have some sort of, protocol that you do, where it's just like, okay.
Well, there's 2 levels for that. The first level is having self-awareness and realizing that it's actually happening. Well, let's say, and then from there, it's like, what tools do you have? Because it's kind of like, you can be like, oh, I'm sad or I'm depressed or whatever. But then it's like, all right, what do I do about it?
But here's the thing. I think awareness itself oftentimes solves it. That's the biggest step for most of those things. It's just like, by the way, you're in this right now. And I think the steps out of it are usually very simple. Like everyone has access to it. Like we all know, like just think of something that you're grateful for and really feel it. It's difficult to do, but it's simple.
Dude, there was this thing that I used to train. It was called like the 7 happiness triggers. And I used to teach it to my clients before they got into dating. But one of the things was the self-awareness method, where you ask yourself 3 questions. And I tell people to do it every 2 hours. I personally I do it every 30 minutes. I'm like, all right, you ask yourself the first question, how am I feeling? If you're happy, cool, stay happy, don't do anything else. Keep doing what you're doing. But let's say you ask yourself, all right, how am I feeling right now? And you're like, I'm sad. Okay, cool. Second question is like, why am I feeling this way? What triggered it? And I recollect the day. Or I recollect the memories and be like, all right, was it a text I got? Was it something happened at work, relationship, whatever? And then when I find out that root core, then I ask myself the third question, can I do something about it? If I'm angry because somebody cut me off, let it go. But if it's something that it's like, oh, I have to do my homework, or I have to finish this piece of work, or I have to have this conversation with somebody, then I associate this pain with that specific action. And until I get that action situated or dealt with, I'm going to feel that level of pain. It gives me a level of urgency, but then also like it gives me kind of clarity in terms of what I need to get done so I can move past that specific feeling.
Yeah, you got your own process, but I think there's plenty of processes. It's like, I don't think the challenge is in the process. It's just like being aware of it like that. And then people know what to do from there.
I don't think people know what to do.
Maybe they don't know, but it's like,
you're giving them too much credit.
It's pretty easy to look up. Like, you know what you need to do in order to feel happy.
I think that's a misconception. Do you really think people know what they need to do to make themselves happy?
The people that are listening, yes.
Okay, yes. But I'm talking about the masses.
Who else are we talking to? We're not.
I mean,
Listen.
yeah, but we're also talking about like if we're looking at the masses.
Look, see this? See this number right here? This is not the masses.
Got it. I'm looking at it as like most people don't know.
Yeah.
Because they don't. Like, I mean, if people knew what they needed to do to be happy.
Sure. Well, we're not talking to most people.
Fair enough.
We're talking to
the 417 people that
super attractive, intelligent.
Yeah. They laugh at all your jokes.
Amazing people.
Love that.
So yeah, our IQ did increase after that, and
do you know your IQ?
I forgot, and I also didn't like taking an IQ test. Some things I don't want to put a label. I don't want to put a label on myself and be like, "This is my IQ," because it's like I think it can be limiting, or it can make you,
dude, I'd fail.
Think you're better than you are.
I'd fail the IQ test.
You know you can't fail.
Well, I mean, me saying that is me failing. Like I would get
IQ 0.
Yeah, I would get something. Honestly, I think it would be something I'd be embarrassed to share. EQ, crush. EQ, I would 100% crush. But the reality is, what makes more money in society, in my opinion, is EQ. Or what makes success, in my opinion, is EQ than IQ. Well,
sure.
It all depends. Never mind. Because IQ does go far. Never mind. You look at Bill Gates.
Yes, but EQ goes very, very far. EQ is, I think, more impactful.
Having both, though. Whew.
Yeah,
that's
unstoppable.
Do you know anybody with both? Let's look at the most successful people in the world.
Seems to be. You get more of one. The other. But
who has a good mix of both? Like someone extremely intelligent, but also has amazing EQ. You know I just thought about? What was that dude that talks about string theory, the black guy? Crazy hair.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yes. What do you think? Do you think he has good EQ? He seems very charming and charismatic. He definitely has a high IQ. Or Bill Nye, the science guy. You can't go wrong with Bill Nye.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if their EQ is high. How can you tell, right?
How do you even tell the EQ test? I was looking at that. I'm like, how did they increase your EQ by 15%?
15.8 points.
Yeah, like how does that even what's an EQ exam?
It is a self-assessment, so it's difficult to say.
Yeah, you can just lie and be like, yeah, this is exactly how I would act. When in reality,
Yeah, you could. It takes self-awareness, and I think most people who say they have self-awareness don't actually have self-awareness.
100%.
I want to share something that I've been going through recently.
Okay.
That I think is going to have a really massive impact on my life. I'm not looking for coaching. I'm just looking to share what I'm currently going through because I think I have a pretty clear path. But I think all of us we have a limiter, something that limits our lives massively. Like, I see it in my friends too. Like, all of us, we have our own kryptonite, you know? Like, I have a friend who is someone who, when things get too challenging or complicated, he shuts down. And then he just stays in bed, and it's just, you can't even talk to him. I have another friend who compulsively lies, right? And he cheated, and his girlfriend left him. And he's like, I don't know, something in me just, I don't know why I did that, but I did that. I have a couple of friends who I know are hypochondriacs. They're always worried, and they're always like going to the doctor and like something's wrong with me. Another one of my friends, he's like a doom and gloom type of guy. Like, sometimes he just has this existential fear that like we're all gonna die, and he gets into his head, right? I'm sure we all have something like that. For me, one of the things that I've noticed in myself is these OCD tendencies, obsessive compulsive disorder. And I'll say it straight up, I hate labels, so I don't even want to put that label on me, because it's not like I have that, but I show patterns of it that come from the same root. Like, I think we've all had this before, right? Where we had some sort of ailment, and we looked it up online, and we just went down a rabbit hole that scared the shit out of us, right? Like, something that it just makes living difficult day to day, because you just can't stop thinking about it, because it's such an unsafe thing. And with OCD, for example, like, I've gone down some rabbit holes now that I've learned something massive that I think would be super helpful for anyone listening, because I think we all deal with the same thing. With OCD, it's like this example where they have this, I don't have this, but they give this example for people who have real OCD. They have this thought when they're outside of the house, they're like, oh, did I leave the stove on? Boom, thought pops in. They're like, I think I must have turned it off, but I don't know. Oh no, I remember turning it off, but was that memory from yesterday? How do I know it's the memory from today? And then they spiral, and then they have to check. They have to know. They have to know. And there's something that recently happened in my life that triggered this thing again that looking back, I've struggled with my entire life, which is this need for certainty. I hate not knowing. I hate uncertainty. And that's basically what OCD is based on, is you have a thought that is an irrational fear, that is literally just a thought, something your brain makes up, and it feels real, and you have to find certainty. And yeah, looking back, it's just always showed up for me. Always. Like, as a little kid, with cleanliness, I was a germaphobe like crazy. Like, even when I was 3 years old, I would wipe my mouth after every single bite until my whole mouth was like super red, and like, I shared the story before on the podcast with my teeth. Like, I was always worried about getting cavities because I heard about it, and I wouldn't eat candy as a kid. Yeah, other hypochondriac issues. I remember being bitten by a tick once, and I showed some signs of some disease that you can get through
Lyme
ticks.
disease?
Not Lyme disease, not that bad, but something else. Something that makes your joints hurt and stuff like that. And I was like, this is it. I think I have that. And seriously, I mean, it's funny looking back.
No, but it's the way you said it. This is it.
This is it.
That's so dramatic.
Yeah, well, not this is it. This is my life is over.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
this
yeah.
is it. This is the disease. Like,
Yeah.
I had the symptom, right? And I remember also just being so worried about like a fear of failing school. I've had that for a few years. And then later on I didn't have it anymore, but it was literally elementary school. Like, you should be a happy little child. And I was not. I was always worried. And that has gotten a lot better. I've made so much progress in this domain. And I see that it still shows up today in everything that I do. Like, brushing my teeth takes really long. Like, I make sure I get every little section of the tooth, every hard to reach point, I get it twice, you know? Having to be over prepared, right? Perfectionism at work, where it's just like, you know what, it's good enough, but like, it just has to be this certain way. certain thought loops that I get in. Worrying has gotten a lot better, just because I've gotten older, I've built more confidence, and I worry way less until I do. Until there's something that's just like, I don't know, will this all work out with my visa? Like renewing my US visa. And, asking the lawyers, like I remember when the first time I applied for the visa, asking the lawyers, like, what's the percentage of winning? Like, how can we make it 100%? It's like, well, you never fully know. We just have to do our best. And I just couldn't accept that. I couldn't accept potentially not getting the visa, and then my entire life, like, I wouldn't be here right now. We would have never met. All the friends that I have today would have never met had that not worked, right? And so this is something I know that will continue if I don't fix it, if I don't overcome this and master this. And there is a way, because, my life would be so different without this. If I could just dance with uncertainty and just sometimes just take blind action. Like, I don't need to know exactly how things are going to work out and what the chances are. And also just in general, being happy for no reason. Like, being able to let go. Like, this is like Leon 2.0.
Yeah.
And I don't know if people can relate to this, but what compulsion feels like, this need for certainty, is like, imagine you go to the doctor and the doctor comes up to you and says, hey, I have bad news for you. Whether I tell you or not, it's not going to change anything, because you can't do anything about it and you can't mentally prepare for it. But it could be really bad. Would you want to know?
I mean, yeah.
The challenge that I see here now with what I think is next for me is, if that were to happen, I should go, I'm good. I don't want to know. I'm okay with not knowing, because I can't change it. The doctor said I can't change it. I can't prepare for it. Knowing it is going to give me more certainty, but it's not going to serve me. And then just being able to sit with that. And the doctor is like the intrusive thought that you have. Is the stove still on? Is this going to work out? Is it, like this seeking for certainty? Or like, imagine you go on Instagram. Let's say you have a girlfriend, or for anyone out there listening, if you're female or whatever, you have a boyfriend, and they went out last night, and you get a message on Instagram from a stranger saying, hey, want to know what your boyfriend or girlfriend really did last night? And they send you a video. The challenge for me is saying, you know what? I'm not going to open that message. But imagine how difficult that would be. You see that message and you don't click on it. You're like, you know what?
So you're under the premise that ignorance is bliss?
Not ignorance, but in this scenario, imagine that this person sending you this message is just an intrusive thought. Just to give a feel for like what it feels like to like face this. And so I think this is one of the most difficult things for me to face, and I have been experiencing it the last few days. And it's making a big shift, and it's really uncomfortable. It is really, it's like that. It's like getting a message like that, or getting a diagnosis from a doctor like that, and just being like, you know what? It's fine. I don't have to know. And I think it's a skill that we're all plagued by, which is at the core of it, believing thoughts that we shouldn't, because they're just thoughts, but they seem real. It seems so real. And I did a bunch of research on it. And there's people who struggle with real OCD, and so I don't have that. But there's this post on Reddit, which is so fascinating. Someone who completely recovered from OCD and anxiety, and he shares how he did it. And he says, not only is it something that I'm managing, it's a distant memory. It's super inspiring that people who, like, they struggle with it so much that they can't even function, they completely recover. And this is not just for people with OCD. This is for any one of us who we believe our thoughts more than we should, which is literally everyone. Mm-hmm. Literally everyone. And so I feel like I'm going on a massive like spiritual journey, which again, I've taken a lot of steps. You know, I did the cybernaut training. I did so many trainings like this, and I made so much progress. And I need to go to the next level. Like,
But why do you need to
deepen
go
my
to the next level?
Because
Because then that goes against everything you're just saying. It's like you need to go to the next thing.
no,
You don't think so?
no, that's not the problem. It's not the need to like go to the next thing. It's just like, no, I'm not as happy as I could be. I'm really suffering from this at times when there is something that, and it's just it'll make me better in all areas of my life. It'll make me a better friend. It'll make me a better
Well, I agree.
entrepreneur. Everything. And yeah.
I think it's even the whole thing about the whole stove. That happens to me all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I leave the house and I'm like, did I turn off the stove? And I have to go back and I have to check, and I won't, like, you know. But it's not like this. There's this thing that I look at, like, it's kind of like in sales. You look at the order of consequences when people don't want to buy something. Like, all right, what's the worst that can happen? And I would like this, like dealing with their objections. I'll tell them, okay, let's say that you spend this and it doesn't work out. What happens? Well, okay, then you don't have money. Okay, beautiful. If you don't have money, then what? Then I don't have a home. Okay, cool. Then what? Well, then I have to sell my car. Okay, then what? And they keep going down to the thing, and then at the end of the day, the worst thing that can happen to you is death. And all fear stems from one fear. It's fear of death. Everyone's afraid of dying. So it's like if you understand the process of what needs to happen for you to die, it's kind of like you said in the beginning of the podcast, where it's just like sometimes awareness is all you need, and that's the clarity that you need.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's like for you, it's like if you can get clarity in terms of what the steps are to keep you safe, and it's not coaching. This is just, you know, I think.
Yeah, and I want to relate it to everyone here because I know that this is a path that I'm taking that I want to share with you that I think would be really interesting for everyone to think about. But to relate it back to everyone, like what is a limiter that you see, right? That's really messing with your ability to connect, to be happy for no reason, to be effective in work, right? Is it procrastination? Is it perfectionism? Is it having low self-esteem, right? All of these, they stem from certain stories and thoughts that our mind just gives us, and we entertain them. We not only we entertain them, but we believe them, because you can't stop thoughts. Any thought that pops up, you don't decide, okay, let me go and have this thought, bling, and then you have the thought. No, the thought is just like, boom, it's there. You didn't order it, you didn't expect it, it's just boom. That's the thing about intrusive thoughts. So, and this is fascinating.
Yeah.
What he talks about, or what people who have OCD talk about that are in recovery, they talk about ERP, which is exposure and response prevention. So you literally, intentionally, or sometimes just going about your day, expose yourself to things that make you uncertain. So let's say you have that intrusive thought. Oh, did I leave the stove on? Or like, oh, is this going to work out? Is this business going to work out? What if I am sick? What if I do have this sickness? I feel this weird lump. The immediate response is usually, okay, I need to know for sure. Let me seek certainty. Let me check the stove. Let me check online. Hey, I have a bump in my stomach. Does that mean I have cancer? Does it mean I have a tumor? Right? But what happens is the moment you entertain the thought and you respond to it, or you try to think your way out of it logically, you're giving it more power, and your brain goes, oh, I just did a good thing. I just gave him a thought that he could really use something with, so let me do more of that. And the solution is to literally not respond. And you want to solve it so badly, you want to seek certainty, but that just reinforces it. So you literally just go like, huh, interesting thought. And like everything in your body just screams to be like, I need to look. Like, go back to like that Instagram message, you know? Like, just like, not going to click it. I know where it leads. But it seems so convincing at times, you know? It's like, yeah. And it's literally what I did earlier in life when I used to be a crazy germaphobe. Now I'm much easier going. Still very hygienic, but like well above average. But it used to be like I used to wash my hands like so many times a day. It was ridiculous. And then when I turned 17, I went to Africa with my dad. And man, that forced me to be like, you know what? It's fine. Because yeah, we stayed in some shady places that were not clean at all and really freaked me out. But it stretched my capacity for it and like what's okay. And so yeah, my action plan right now is just really intentionally expose myself to things that usually I would want to have go a certain way.
Yeah, exposure therapy is a good one.
So brush my teeth for 2 minutes only.
Jesus Christ.
I know this sounds so super weird and it sounds
No,
like I'm
I love
making a
it.
joke,
I
but
love
it's
it.
literally, I also have wisdom teeth and they're really hard to reach, so it does take me longer to brush teeth than people who don't have it. For some reason in the US, everyone gets them removed, right?
I still have mine, yeah.
Yeah, it's that's
It's actually bad to remove them, they say.
Yeah, it is. So I want to keep them, but they're tough to clean. But that's literally that one thing. I haven't been able to do it.
That's amazing, though. That's a good start.
You know, and it seems so dumb. Like, you know, it's
That's
just,
not the thing, bro. It's not like...
But this would be a win for me.
Give yourself
Because
more grace.
This little thing shows up everywhere in life, right? Or even just like when I want to check something online, just like, I want to know. No, I don't have to know. It's fine.
Yeah.
When I feel an ailment, I want to look it up, you know? Or any like intrusive thoughts about like worrying, anxiety, like comparing myself, just sit with it and accept it. And even just like little things, you know, when you have a pimple and you just have to pick it. Are you good at that? Like just, like I know it'll heal faster if I don't pick it.
No, I'll pick it.
Yeah.
It's not.
I think that's a common one, right? But even that is a thing for me where I get to go, no, I'm not going to touch it.
I look at it as like the benefit cost. What's going to cost me? What's the benefit of it? Like if it's a small pimple, it's not worth it. If it's a big pimple, the cost is a lot worse.
So you literally have if you just see like a little thing, you literally have the discipline to be like, you know what, I'm not going to touch it.
Yeah, 100%. The benefit cost.
Great. You've probably heard that quote. I think it's Tony Robbins' quote. Maybe it was someone else. The quality of your life is in direct proportion to the amount of uncertainty you can comfortably live with. And like, man, was I unhappy in the past. I was worried about everything. And that has increased. It has improved a lot. And I'm happier than I've ever been. Like as sad as I'm sounding right now, I'm happier than I've ever been. And I am really happy. And there's so much more available.
And here's the thing, dude. I can't just let you like. I mean, dude, I experienced a lot of this as well. It's not just you. Like this is a difficult thing to deal with because a part of you does want safety and security and clarity. Even for myself, man, growing up and the way I grew up, like there's a lot of fear around everything having. Even like I think we talked about this when I first got into the apartment. You know.
Yeah.
I could only get the apartment because I knew I had the money to afford it beforehand. Like there was no way in hell I would have got the apartment if I didn't have the money in my bank account already to be able to afford it for a whole entire year.
Yeah.
And it's like that's the thing where it's just like jumping. Like for me, I only take risks if they're very calculated. Even like right now with like when we were talking about investment.
Yeah.
Like I finally started investing into like stocks and all this stuff, but I just don't trust. Like unless I can actually like let go of that stuff, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
You know. But it doesn't stop me from like living my life to what I need to live. But I feel like I don't know.
I think
what's unhealthy. You know, what's the level of unhealthy?
I think we can all improve this, and not because we're broken and we should, and this is another like self-improvement, like it's never enough. No, I think this is a lifelong practice, and the better you can be at it, the happier you'll be. And it's very difficult. It's simple. It's a simple process. Is don't believe the thoughts. Don't believe the thoughts. But it's very difficult and has a massive impact on your life. And we need certainty. It's a human need I think this is where spiritual beliefs come in really handy, or they become necessary, which is like an anchor to absolute certainty no matter where you're at, no matter what happens. You could be hit by a car, lose your ability to walk. You could have a terminal illness and still be like, you know what? I have enough certainty. And a spiritual belief could be, like Tony Robbins shares this. I think that's what the base of his teaching is. It's like taking control of your mind and not believing your thoughts. The belief is, I'm being guided. Like, there's a higher power that guides me to something greater. Like, whatever challenge I'm facing right now is the perfect thing for me to happen. And this is where, the OCD logic mind can easily come in and be like, well, that's easy to say. But that doesn't make any sense. That's just make-believe. But you can't prove it. You can't disprove it. So why not just choose the belief that serves you better? If both beliefs you can't prove either. It's the same thing with believing in a God. Like, there's no reason. You can't prove the existence of God logically. You also can't disprove it. So if we're going with purely logic, both are equally delusional, then why not just pick one that serves you more? Like, clearly people who believe in a higher power are happier and they live better lives. And I'm not talking about religion, like you have to be religious. No, a higher power, right? And so that's where I think that comes in. Like, no matter what happens, the worst thing could happen, and it's meant to happen, and it serves. I can find a way that it serves me, and it guides me somewhere greater.
Have you ever read the book The Untethered Soul?
Yeah, Michael A. Singer.
Yep, very good book, and he talks about
also someone who built $1 billion company.
I know that.
Which I love because, man, it's whenever I see someone spiritual teaching all these things, and they're wearing yoga pants, and like I'm just like, I don't want to be like you though. Like, cool, but when you have someone who masters both, right? This is him. It's really inspiring. Like, I want to learn from the spiritual boxer. Someone who can get into a ring and fight, and also is like reads poetry.
Well, he said something really interesting in his book, and he was talking about how, imagine you had a neighbor that came over every single day and would always argue and like just tell you all negative things. Would you let him into your house? If you just complained all the time, would you let them into your house? And then people say like, well, obviously not. Well, I mean, that's your brain. That's your intrusive thoughts. Those are your thoughts. They're not. And I think the biggest thing is like, your brain is like an antenna. It takes thoughts. So it's like a lot of these thoughts aren't you. It's kind of like, have you ever like...
None of them are.
Well?
None of them are.
Yeah. So let's put in perspective. Have you ever thought of like, I mean, this is going to sound dark, but have you ever thought of like hurting somebody? Like...
Yeah, of course.
Did you act on it?
No.
Does that make you a killer, or like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like, but it's kind of, it's the same analogy where it's just like, it's not really you. It's a thought that came into your brain, and if you entertain that thought, then you actually become that actual adjective,
Yeah.
But the reality is, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, it's like one of these things that you can logically understand, right? But it's like, it has to be experienced, and there need to be reps. Like, it's not like there's one thing that you just like realize and you're like, oh, okay. From now on, I'm like, I get it. It's more. I think it's more of a practice where you become better at snapping out of it and being like, okay, wait, I'm in it right now. Let me get out of it, and being able to change your state. And the more you do that, the deeper those neural connections become, until myelin forms around it, which is like the highway of a neuron, and then it fires really quickly, and then that becomes your default. And so what people with OCD talk about is that the intrusive thoughts that happen, you can't control, but just don't entertain them, because your brain will stop handing them to you if you literally don't engage with them, because your brain wants to save energy.
Yeah.
So all these intrusive thoughts that you have, it's not just about dealing with them, but at some point they literally just vanish. And this is what David R. Hawkins talks about in the book Letting Go, right? It's the idea that when you let go of emotions, meaning you just feel them and that's how they subside, all the thoughts associated with it subside as well. So, if someone has a feeling of not being enough and they have a low self-worth, they have all these thoughts around it. They're like, oh, it's because I'm fat. It's because I'm not attractive enough. I'm not rich enough. I'm not any of these things. When they literally just feel the emotion and they let it go, all these thoughts go as well. So it's like the thoughts don't come from, the thoughts are there to justify the feeling. It's not that you feel this way because you had these thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think a really good tool is also writing a letter to yourself when you're in it. Like when you're in that, if you're someone who shuts down, or if you're someone who spirals into worry, like I have in the past, or I do now as well, and or you're someone who, I don't know, you just, like my friend who has the doom and gloom spiral, right? Just like writing a letter for yourself when you're out of it, and just being like, hey, I know you're in it right now. I'm not in it. Here's what I'd like you to remember. I think that's a really powerful tool. Guru of the week.
Love it.
This is a real life wizard. Someone who makes people spasm, scream, squirm, orgasm with a wand. And here's the thing, I think it's legit.
Okay.
Tony Robbins talked about him a while back because he was kind of desperate and he was looking for a solution. And yeah, let's just hear his introduction about him. So he's talking about his wife here.
I remember when Sage was going through her motion sickness experience those years, I was trying everything, going to see anybody. And I remember one time I heard about this man who had trained like 1,000 chiropractors around the world. And I thought, well, maybe chiropractic. And the guy said, no, but he does this work on you, but he barely even touches you. He like puts his finger here, and people's bodies move. And I'm like, I'm going to try anything at this point, right? I was going to try anything. I was exhausted from trying things. And all of a sudden, I said, well, I'd like to talk to this guy. And long story short, I was going to be in the Gold Coast of Australia, and this man was also going to be there. And I said, would you see if you'd be willing to come meet my wife and maybe work on her? He said, well, he's going to be there for 4 days. They talked to him. He'll come work on her once or twice a day for 4 days. I said, that'd be magical. I'd love to try anything we can. So he comes in, and his name is Dr. Epstein. He's now my best buddy named Donnie. And Donnie comes in, and frankly, when he came in, I'm picturing this healer, and we all have our rules about what we think someone's supposed to look like. And Donnie didn't look like that healer to me. Like, he looked like he was from New York, and, he had white shoes on and some gold jewelry. And I'm like, this guy's from New Jersey. There's no fucking way. I was like, he couldn't be a fucking healer. There's no way this could happen, right? So he comes in, though, and he's talking very official, and he's got all these big words. In the middle of it, though, I looked in his eyes, and I saw this beautiful soul. I mean, I knew him, and I said, excuse me, I really appreciate your being here. It's amazing you're being here. But I said, Dr. Epstein, I said, you're really a fucking Donnie. I said, do you mind if I call you Donnie? And he got a big grin on his face. He goes, I am a Donnie. I'm Donnie. I said, I know. So can I talk to Donnie instead of Dr. fucking Epstein? Because he's fucking boring. I said, he's obviously a genius. I'm not questioning his genius, but I'd like to talk to Donnie. And we got this moment where we really connected. And he laughed his ass off instead of being offended. That's why I knew he was a cool guy. And we got in there, and he said, well, let me show you what I do. And instead of explaining it all, I said, just give us the juice. Show us what you do. So he put Sage on this table, and I'll never forget this moment. It was mind-boggling. Put her on this table, and he walked behind her, and he took my fingers. He said, now watch this. And he took one of my fingers, and he put on this part of the bone on the side of her neck, and this one on the other bone. And he walked back 3 feet, and he went like this, and that bone moved, and her face is down, and there was no sound. And I was like, what the fuck? And he went like this, and this one moved. And I stepped back, and he started doing this shit that, again, you think you're being punked. Something's going on here, right? This is bullshit, And he's doing all this stuff, and it looks, like he's a little wizard or some shit, right? And Sage starts arching her back and looking up like this and start doing these, spontaneous yoga positions, and she doesn't do yoga. It was crazy. And we turned over, we had a home in the Gold Coast of Australia that was on the ocean, and our living room, we had a 3-story place, and on the 3rd story was a swimming pool, and we cut it open so that the living room ceiling was the swimming pool with the light coming through the water into the living room. It was an unbelievable thing. Great place. So the light's coming through like shaft, look like God is shining through onto her face. And she's sitting here and she just started to cry uncontrollably. It was beautiful. And it healed a lot of things for her that had gone in her life, that some of which she hadn't even told me at that stage in our relationship. It was just beautiful. So I was like, put me on that fucking thing. Give me some of that juice, right?
I'm curious if you think this is legit or not. He's also the author of 12 Stages of Healing, which is what he uses. This is what he looks like. And it's fascinating. He literally just, it's like magic.
That's exactly what I pictured.
Watch.
He's got a wand.
And just let you know, this is not my other systems, not network, it's not this, it's own thing, inspired what I learned from the previous things.
She's getting exercised.
Keep your legs down.
That's insane.
So, me being Mr. Logic guy, I'm like, what is behind this? What's the explanation of this? Like, is this real? First of all,
Dude,
now here's the thing. I've heard multiple people who are usually very skeptical be like, you got to try it out. Try it out. I can't explain it, but there's something in the energetic field where your body just responds, and even if it's done on a baby, which you can't really like brainwash a baby or make the there's not like there's a placebo with a baby. The baby just lies down, and they do it on a baby, and you can see the baby also like moving the back a little bit. The idea is that the issues that we have in our lives and certain stages that we're in, he's the author of 12 Stages of Healing, show up in our spine, in how we move and how we hold ourselves. And so if we're currently in a stage of suffering, which I think is the first stage, it shows up in our spine. And they can tell by just feeling the spine, feeling the energy around it. I don't know how that works. I have no idea, but crazy stuff happens. And there's someone here in Austin that is really, really good, world class at this stuff, taught by Donnie. And I have a bunch of friends who go to her, and there's literally 5 tables that are in a room, and she works on one person after the other. And then she works on you a little bit, and she says, okay, take a deep breath out, and then now give me a good sigh. Or say, I feel helpless. And then you say it, and you just feel this rush of energy, like through your back, or, and sometimes I didn't feel much, and sometimes I thought maybe it's just because I'm saying these things that, yeah, I did it for 6 months, maybe.
6 months of this shit?
Yeah, it's like going to a therapist almost. And then she goes to another person and works on them. And this guy is obviously best in the world. And he's got an event called The Gate. And this is, I had 3 or 4 friends who went through it. They said it's a weird experience. It's wild. What are your thoughts before I keep rambling?
I think if you showed me this without Tony Robbins' endorsement, it would have been a very different reaction.
Yeah?
I think because you showed me Tony Robbins' endorsement, I already had a level of authority where I'm like, all right.
Yes.
Tony wouldn't lie about that.
And I want to, for anyone who's also skeptical of Tony Robbins, I wanted to speak more into that too, because I have multiple friends who are like, I don't believe in this stuff. I'm not into this woo-woo stuff. Like, I'm a businessman. And they're like, I feel kind of weird about talking about this, but I think it works. And the fact that it works on babies too, and they react too. This is, my friends explained it, this is an event, a room full of people, and sometimes he literally just goes with his wand and goes Tsk! And points the wand at you, and you feel this Ugh! Is it placebo? Maybe some of it. I think my friends are I think some of it is placebo, but there's also something that works, and so it's wild.
You do this. Look down. Here we go.
So earlier he just looked at her paper and just looked at, okay, which stage is she in? Stuff like that, right? Like where are certain points where energy is blocked, and then he releases the energy. I think that's how it works. I don't know.
Dude, seeing stuff like this makes you like really realize you really can do anything in this world. Like I'm sitting here and I'm like,
How did he figure that out?
but this is what I'm talking about. Like you can, for everybody here watching this, I'd be like, I don't know what I can do to make money. Just figure out what you're good at, and literally charge. Like how, like, did he go to like? And okay, do you think there's like ancient monks that live somewhere that just have these teachings that this guy might have just gotten lucky one time, went to the right place at the right time, got with the right mentor, and got teachings that they just never monetized? That they just kind of kept for themselves, and they took it, and then he brought it to the Western world and just started incorporating it. I think there's a lot of truth to that, where it's just like people can go and take teachings from even like a tribe that no one's ever heard of. You can go there, be the first guy to like communicate with them, and they give you their secrets. You come bring it to the Western world, it changed their life, so you can change other people's lives, and you're like, all right, well, this is my technique, when in reality it might not be yours, but because I know he had a mentor that taught him this stuff. This is a really hard thing to just find out, and I think this is more of like, this is around yoga. This is around Reiki. There's I think it's a little mixture of like everything.
Yeah.
But it's weird.
It is. It is. I mean, even reading the book, it's fascinating. The different stages that he talks about and what's being blocked, and stories of people who healed because they were in a certain stage and then they came out of it, and there's exercises you can do at home. Yeah, and they have these like crazy exorcisms, basically, right?
Here we go. It's all phasic resonances right from here. Here. So when we connect to the bioenergetic intelligence produced like level 1 of care, it's at this distance the body. And it results in like the level 1 response as it organizes the connective tissue, etc. We connect to the
But it's funny, you see her body move in accordance with where his wand is.
Yeah, she doesn't know.
So there's got to be something, like even when you close your eyes and you can kind of sense where your hand is going if you know. But is that because of the warmth? I don't know. Because the logic part of my brain wants to debunk it, but I'm also always open.
There's a lot of, because I was talking to our mutual friend yesterday that was with us, and basically Vipassana. I'm talking about Vipassana.
Vipassana is a 10-day no-talking meditation retreat.
Yep. And what's interesting is something happened to me during that event that I couldn't really explain. So when I was meditating, I noticed that I was focused on heat. And when I was meditating, my hands just got really, really, really hot. To a point where it actually became very uncomfortable, and I couldn't actually like... Every time I would go into meditation, I would go into heat, because I was just like wanting to feel the feeling. And what's interesting is when I got that sensation, I started feeling, all right, exactly what's happening in my body. So then after the Vipassana, because the whole point of Vipassana is like it's a sensation meditation. So it teaches you how to like see every single part of your body, because like when you have negative thoughts, you actually feel little cuts on your body that you don't realize because you're not trained to realize it. But when you're like meditating and you're just feeling sensations. So whenever a thought comes up, you feel a pain in your knee. You feel a pain in your rib. You feel a thing, you're like, oh, pain. So you start recognizing, all right, the reason why I am hurting is because I'm actually having physical pain within my body when these emotions are coming up. But what's good about it is because then you become very in tune with your body. So you actually can feel your vibration, because when you're still, you feel like your body's just like vibrating. If you stop, but then when you put something in your hand, like I put a rock and I can feel the rock's vibrational presence in my hand. Just because I'm just focused on it, and I'm like, all right, it's different than my body, and you can feel the energy around the rock. And but it's obviously 10 days of just focus on your body. It like you develop like the skill. But what's interesting is like I was able to build this heat, and I was like, this is so weird. And it's not even placebo, because I'm like, why? It's hot, like it's uncomfortably hot in my hand, and I'm like, did my body just produce this because I thought about it? And then when I took it out, and I'm like, all right, cold. My body just got really, really, really cold, and I'm like. But it's weird. It's stuff like you can't explain. It's like, even if I try to explain it to myself, I'm like, I
think
can't.
there's a specific meditation. I've heard that somewhere before, where there is a meditation where you can literally change the temperature in your body, and there's like people who can like have a cold hand and a hot hand, and they're just like,
It's insane.
And
And,
you
if
did-
you push
you
it,
did
dude, it's hot because but it's also like you're sitting there and you're thinking about everything all day long. I'm like, I have nothing else to think about. I'm like, I need something, and it just came out of nowhere. And I'm like, and I had to stop because I had to get out of my meditation because I'm like, it actually was starting to get like, no, it wasn't painful. It wasn't burning my hand, but it was uncomfortably hot.
yeah. Can you be honest with me?
No, I can't. I'm gonna lie to you.
Okay,
All right, what is it?
lie to me. Was there a moment where you thought, hey, should I try to shoot lasers? Like maybe I can do that too. You must have had that thought. Like, oh, let me do like telekinesis, like some.
All right,
I can do the hot and cold thing now. Like, I think maybe can I try to move an object?
Do you want to hear something funny?
I want to hear something honest.
Okay. There's this kid on Instagram who has a course, a telekinesis course, $50.
Guru of the week next week.
I like him, dude. I like
Yeah,
him.
but that's good. I like Donnie too.
Okay, I like him. I don't want to. I joined his course. I paid $50, 100%.
Yeah.
It was cool. No, honestly, the ads got me. Not the
Yeah,
ads. He
yeah.
doesn't even have ads. He just like random kid living in his mom's house, just like moving things with his hands. I'm like, you know what? $50, worth it. For my curiosity, I'll do it. And I joined, and obviously like this course is not the best. You know.
What's his name? Should we get into it now, or should we save it
Let's
for next week?
let's get into it now.
What's his name?
We're already talking about telekinesis. Let me actually find out. Okay.
Is he into anime?
Yes.
Of course he is.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, so here it is. My students.
Turn volume on.
Oh, wow.
Within the next 5 years, we will witness a shift like nothing humanity has ever seen.
I've been watching his stuff for 7 months. And then hold up, then go, and then leave. And then there's another one. There's like fire one. Go down, go down, go down. This one, one of the fire ones. Yeah. I literally, honestly,
See if I have a lighter here.
shut up. I'm telling you, I honestly, I was like, sure. And I went on his course, dude. The stuff that he's teaching in his course, like, I mean,
GoDaddy side stuff.
I want to help him, man. I really just want to help him.
He's got the branding down.
Just if you join his course, dude. Let me show you. Let me make it even. But I also like him. But I want to support him. Like, look at his course.
Wait, so
Yourself here watching this isn't a coincidence. The universe doesn't work that way. The fact that you've even crossed paths with one of my videos is the clearest indication that you're meant to be here.
Yeah, he does too much with
Deep
this.
down, you've always known there was more.
I think
more to what you-
he's joking though.
Dude, no, I'm telling you. Look. It's his video. This is week 1.
That's the course. Show it in the camera.
Let me explain how to correctly follow the videos so that your training is as efficient as possible.
I'll show you the
If
1
you
minute.
see an asterisk before the title of the video, then that means that this week will be used for the current week as well as every following week. Tai Chi is not only about pushing and pulling objects. In this program, I will also be sharing my secrets and techniques for transcending time and achieving biological immortality through Tai Chi.
It's a little much.
With dedication and
There's
commitment.
there's levels, but then here's the thing. This is the part. Week 2.
Welcome to week 2. This week you will get used to taking cold showers
He lost
because
me.
those are the only kind of showers that you will be taking for the next 51 weeks.
Not happening.
51
The
weeks.
reasons
not
why are
happening.
that it increases
I don't care
blood
that much
and
about-
energy circulation.
Pause it.
It requires strong willpower. It strengthens the immune system.
Why 51 weeks?
Because it's a whole year-long course.
But it's 54. Anyways.
Yeah, so then Tai Chi,
Dude,
dance.
This guy, he loves anime. And
yeah, there's,
I've had someone at my school like this as well. So,
yeah, me too.
and more power to them. You know,
I
who knows? Maybe this is a new Donnie Epstein in the making. Like, give it, like, maybe there's... So, do you think the telekinesis works? Like, people are just like...
Dude, I gotta see it in front of me. Stop. Jesus Christ, this is what I hate.
Please, Iman.
Listen, I'm open-minded.
I want to continue our friendship. You don't believe in this stuff, do you?
I need to see it in person. Like right now, this
so
is
you don't
great.
believe it yet.
I don't. I need to see it. But also, like I said, for me to do the training, that's it. They lost me at second week of like cold showers. That's it. It's not happening. And then the third one is like eating specific diet. Dude, you've lost me. Like, why can't you just teach me meditation? Just teach me meditation. I have willpower, I promise.
You can literally promise to teach anything as long as the first and the second week is take cold showers and eat a specific diet, because then you can always blame people. You didn't follow the diet. Did you follow the diet perfectly?
That's actually not a bad idea.
You know people don't. So you're just like, well, you would be floating by now.
Business coaching.
You had some chocolate again this weekend, hadn't you? That pizza?
Dude, imagine you went to a business coach, and this first module was like cold showers. If you don't take cold showers, you'll never be rich.
Yes.
And that's it. You didn't take cold showers, so that's why you're not rich.
Yeah. Legal is covered. Can't sue me. This is genius, actually. Dude, there's another trillion of business idea right here.
Dude, like I said, for the audience watching, I give the benefit of the doubt.
You bought it for entertainment. You bought it for that slight chance
curious.
of like, listen, I made my hand hot and cold in that one meditation.
Dude, I was like, there might be hope. Because here's the thing. I think, dude, I don't know, man. I'm not, like I said, I'm not like bought in, but I'm also like not, I don't know. I don't care enough to do the whole cold showers. If you want to do it, you should do it. I'll give you access to the course and you could do it, and then let me know. You like cold showers.
No.
Did you see like the CIA projects a long time ago where they would try to find people with like super like I don't know, man. A part of me just I want to believe it, man. Our bodies are capable of more shit than we actually think.
But you also like anime, right?
Love anime.
Just as a side note, just unrelated information. I think there's a correlation between people who want to believe into this stuff and like anime.
You know what? I'm gonna start taking cold showers, and I'm gonna come. What about if I came here after a year, and I literally was just like, what would you do? Hypothetically speaking,
I would bow.
Really?
I would bow to you.
Worth it. I will take cold showers for a fucking year to get you to bow. That's a tough one. I don't know if I care that much.
I will literally bow to you.
I will show you one thing though. I can do one thing. If I get like a smoke thing, I can actually make the smoke go straight. By just focusing on it. That I've done before. That's some wild shit. I'm telling you.
You're not using any air.
Nope. We'll do it after. I'll show you. This is the only time it doesn't work. Dude, I'm telling you, energy and like, dude, manipulating energies of like
Okay. Yeah. Well, I think it's possible. It's might be possible.
Hilarious.
But in the meantime, stay driven. We're now gonna go take a cold shower and then make some smoke go straight.
Love it.
See you in the next one.